Have you ever wondered, why am I so tired? Is this normal? Is everyone else having the same problems? What's happening with my body? Can I get my energy back? Or is there a healthier, natural way to feel better? So that's what our program is tonight, on the 13 causes of chronic fatigue. And perhaps you've seen the video testimonials of people beating chronic disease. And so many people say, hey, that's nice for Alice or Ginger, but they're not me. And that's right, they're not you. And I'm sure this has been said in history, but this is my version. You want to know the best way to be unhappy? It's to compare yourself to others, because we have a tendency to compare our worst to people's best, whether it's finances or relationship or cars or clothes, and it's all about health. So one of the things I tell people with chronic fatigue, remember, it's your journey. You can't compare yourself to other people. And I wanted to give people some resources so that you can beat chronic disease. And one of my favorite statements is that we are writing our own story, and at any given time, we can change how the ending is. Isn't that powerful? And so it's not just some Jedi mind trick when it comes to chronic fatigue, but it is part of your journey. And so we've put together a chronic fatigue system or workshop that talks about patient success stories. And let's talk about the 7 main symptoms of chronic fatigue. So obviously fatigue, unrefreshing sleep, unexplained muscle joint pain, dizziness that can get worse from moving, lying, sitting, problems with memory and concentration, a sore throat, headaches, enlarged lymph nodes in your neck or armpits. So those are some of the common causes or symptoms with chronic fatigue. But I think there's really about 13 reasons. So let me go into the reasons why you're tired, and let's just start knocking them out. So the number one thing is you're not alone with chronic fatigue. Like, it's an underlying health problem. It's the secondary health concern. So people come in the office and they'll say, look, I've got arthritis or I've got stomach problems. And I'll say, well, is there anything else? And they'll say, well, yes, I'm tired. Well, the number one reason for people that have chronic fatigue is they're not sleeping very well. So this is one of the reasons over the last couple lessons we've talked about secrets to a good night's sleep. There's part 1, there's part 2, not getting enough sleep, at least 7 hours. And during sleep, your body performs these important functions, including releasing growth hormones and repairing and regenerating cells, and uninterrupted rest. So let me get myself out of the way here. Uninterrupted rest is the biggest cause of chronic fatigue. So what can we do about it? Well, you got to get your body on a system. And the system is getting up at the same time, and then when you need to pay your sleep debt, you can take naps or you catch up on the weekends. But if you'll just get your body to get up at the same time, I think this is one of the best steps. The other common causes of fatigue are things like nutritional inadequacy, vitamin D levels, vitamin C levels, magnesium problems. Like, if you don't have those, you get conditions like anemia and B12 deficiency. And if you don't have enough B12 for a long enough time, like, it causes permanent and irreversible brain damage. And then we have miracle minerals like molybdenum and zinc and magnesium and potassium. And then there's this cholecalciferol, which is also known as vitamin D, and that's when the sunlight hits your system and it converts essential fatty acids in your skin to cholecalciferol. So it would be easier to write a book on what vitamin D doesn't do than what it does do. Like, it literally helps just about any condition. So if you're having any of these symptoms that are going on, the anemia and the cholecalciferol, the vitamin D deficiency, you're not going to have your energy levels. And so increasing your vitamin D or it helps to improve poor hormone outcomes and your immune system. And if you're not having the right building blocks for blood, it leads to anemia. And if you don't have enough magnesium, it causes nausea and cramps and pins and needles. And not enough zinc is delayed healing and affects your skin and your eyes and your hormone production. And then we talk about the chronic fatigue as it relates to stress. So some stress is normal, but chronic stress leads to exhaustion disorders. It causes structural and functional changes in your brain. And having a stress outlet is absolutely so critical. It's easy to say and it's hard to do, to say, look, just stop stressing. That's why you're so tired. But stress channeling is something that people do in their life that helps them to rejuvenate. It gives them, a little bump or zip in their life. So I've heard music, I've heard going on a drive, I've heard exercise, I've heard having healthy hobbies or talking to yourself or prayer or meditation or exercise or yoga. It's so important to get those things on your schedule so that you have something healthy as a release or a channel or outlet. That's what we mean by stress channeling. So mindset, keeping your power, not allowing people to add their stress to your plate. The beauty of selfishness, which means you've got to get that appointment for your stress channeling on your schedule so that you follow the law. Now, the reason why I put God's law up here is deviation from God's law, we call a sin. Deviation from biology law, we call a symptom. So in order for us to overcome the symptom or to recover from that, we just have to change what we are doing, which is where the Greek word, repentance comes from. It means to change. It's the same thing in physiology. We just need to change our levels here. Okay, another common cause of fatigue is medical conditions. So it's things like, is it an autoimmune disorder? Is it chronic infection? Is it stomach problem? Is it something going on with your thyroid? Is it a mixed connective tissue disease? And as you put things together to help with the chronic health problems like infection, anxiety, thyroid disorders, as you start to balance those out, you can start to get your energy back. And that's the most important part about a chronic health problem, is if you put the body back in balance, then you start to get a sense of control and the energy returns. So other things that can be affected with that, nearly all healthcare conditions that cause patients to seek intervention, whether it's healing, whether it's touch therapy, traditional medical therapy, alternative medicine therapy, has a root or problem with fatigue. So proper workup is the key, making sure that we're doing some baseline labs and we test the hormones and we're looking about what we're doing for a stress outlet are all considerations for getting people healthy. And of course, the way to help people the best is to put the body in balance. That's why I put this graphic in here, is helping people to improve by putting everything in balance. So you are what you eat, you are what you absorb. This is such a fun thing to tell people and to help them improve. If we can get healthy and alive foods into your system, then you're going to be healthy and alive. So a lot of times people don't get enough calories and nutrients and protein, and so the body starts to break down the muscles and we overuse the hormone system, and this leads to a loss of muscle mass, and it's a huge component in fatigue. So ultra-processed foods impair energy levels, and so having too much, out of a box, out of a wrapper, out of a can, leads to high blood sugar imbalances and insulin levels, and it just wrecks your immune system. So a diet and ultra-processed foods and transitioning to healthy and alive foods, whole nutrient-dense foods like fruit, vegetables, and beans are a huge factor in reducing fatigue. So the other causes of fatigue, a temporary boost that you receive from too much caffeine or energy drinks or high sugar or too much coffee, leads to impaired sleep, and it causes worrying, sleeplessness, anxiety. There's tons of medical research that getting too much stimulation is really difficult for the body. Matter of fact, there was a study that showed that 462 women linked to high-calorie coffee and energy drinks lead to poor sleep quality and sleep disturbances. And those that didn't drink as many beverages, or even better, didn't drink those, had a way better sleep quality, which improves your fatigue and your energy levels. So overstimulation of caffeine, of sugar, of green tea can cause too much nervous system activity, and it's like we can't ever calm down. And so whenever possible, take a break on those. Okay, if you're currently having sleep issues and fatigue, try cutting down on some of the stimulation liquid beverages that is so prevalent in our society. Okay, if you're relying too much on caffeine and sugar, it means there's something else going on. So we got to do a workup and figure out what it is. And this is so important. We can run a complete blood cell count and a metabolic panel. We can look at estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEAS, all of those hormones. If you're imbalanced, let's figure out why and improve that. Okay. The next things that we need to look at are right here. Okay. Inadequate dehydration. We talk about this every single show. If you're not having enough water, then what happens is your body processes can't work. There was a study of 20 looked at hydration levels, and one of the simple things to make you start feeling better is to just improve your water intake. Being hydrated makes you feel less fatigued. It gives you better stamina when it comes to exercise, and it really helps your stamina levels. The rule you hear about all the time is 8 ounces of water, but it really depends on weight and age and sex and activity levels. And the key to drinking enough is to maintain good hydration. So I always tell people, look, fill a glass full of water and drink it, and then repeat that many times throughout the day. I think that's one of the best recommendations that I can give is the water rules, getting more and more water that is in your system. So even mild dehydration may reduce energy levels and alertness, and making sure to drink enough fluids, so it's urination and it's breathing and it's sweating. People just underestimate how much water it takes literally just to breathe. Now, having too much stored energy or metabolism in your system can cause difficulties with energy levels. And so again, easy to say, hard to do. Your body has to work harder, increases the blood pressure, makes the heart, and basically short circuits the hormones of your system. And so one of the things that we can do is when people have metabolism issues, we want to have just little wins. So I put together this little thing called starting small. And starting small is just a neat pathway to get the ball rolling. Rome wasn't conquered in one day. It's such a huge problem with everyone that comes into the office. I shouldn't say everyone. Nearly everyone that comes into the office has a concern with their metabolism. Most of the time, it's people having too much energy and too much weight. It is on the flip side too. Sometimes people are too thin and they're trying to gain weight. And kind of the same rules apply. Commit to better eating, drink water before meals. For people that are struggling with metabolism, don't eat after 7. Balance your body chemistry with blood tests and hormones, and do some stress channeling. So now we talk about the last couple things that are associated with chronic fatigue: addictions and dependencies. No one ever gets up and says, you know what, I'm going to really, do something that's going to be hard on me today. I'm going to be addicted to sugar or to drama or to stress or to chocolate or to energy drinks or to technology or pornography or alcohol. No, I don't believe anybody starts the day thinking, I want to have an addiction or dependency. And I would make the argument that we're all addicted to something. Whether, again, it's sugar, whether it's stress, whether it's some type of stimulant. And the reason why is because we've run out of energy. So when we have energy levels that are up here, everybody is like in their zone, they're doing their thing, they're accomplishing their goals and aspirations. As the energy level drops, then what happens is people start thinking, oh, you know what, I need something to stimulate that. I need to create excessive worry, or my anxiety's kicking in. Oh, I just got to have a Rockstar or a Red Bull to function. And then what happens is we have a temporary bump in our energy levels, and then what happens is fear and worry and doubt and shame and all this stuff starts to go, and it keeps our energy levels low, which makes our addictions and dependencies high. So the key to improving your life and not having all of this energy sucked out by these tendencies and addictions is to keep your energy up. If we can keep your energy level up, then people can really make differences in not being dependent on a prescription or not being dependent on sugar, which fires off your dopamine centers. And then what happens is that gets into your system and it makes your body create insulin, which goes into stored fat and metabolism. So keeping your energy levels high is so important in beating addiction and dependencies, which has this negative effect of making you chronically fatigued. Okay, the other thing, the shift work. We have inside of our program, we have a misalignment between internal circadian rhythms, physiology, and work schedules. And there's a specific checklist that we can do to improve work schedules and being able to repay your sleep debt and stuff like that. Not having enough movement in your life, causing higher rates and lower oxygen levels, since the body needs oxygen to transform nutrients into energy. If you have a sedentary occupation, we've got to develop a system to get you to move more. And then hormone imbalances. What is a hormone? A hormone is a chemical messenger that allows your body literally to communicate with self. So the heart to the muscles to the brain, the brain to the kidneys, and the kidneys to the thyroid, and all of that is associated with hormone production. And if the hormones are imbalanced, what happens is you can't get enough communication. All these systems are doing their own thing, and it's not in harmony. And when people come in and say, I just have an impending sense that something's off, that's one of the classic signs of having hormone imbalance. And then one of the last reasons for chronic fatigue is infections. So these is things like Epstein-Barr and West Nile virus and cytomegalovirus and chickenpox, which causes the shingles and as adult. All of these chronic infections. There was a study in the British Journal of Medical Practitioners that says that chronic infection leads to neurobehavioral, neurodegenerative, psychiatric, autoimmune, and fatiguing illness. It literally is everything that is wrong. So that is our quick review of 13 things that causes chronic fatigue. So here's the deal. We've created a workshop on beating chronic fatigue where we actually go in and it's chock full of values like, what is it? How is it diagnosed? What are the medical treatments? What are the breakthrough treatments that most doctors don't know about? What you can do at home, advanced nutritional medicine, advanced in-office treatments. And then we have a whole bunch of bonus features like secrets to a good night's sleep and the clean eating guide and how to beat chronic fatigue if it's an infection, or beating chronic fatigue if it's a hormone imbalance, or beating chronic fatigue if it's just fatigue. So if you are interested in our workshop that we do where we have all of these values, you can just head over to drjasonwest.live and let's go change your life. Remember, you're not your diagnosis. That's our show for this week. I'll see you guys next week where we're going to continue talking about how to beat chronic fatigue.